If you guys have been following this channel now for a while, you guys know that I'm a big proponent of reading books. Reading books is one of the first things that I did in the beginning of self-improvement that helped me open my mind up to new ideas, new philosophies, new mindsets, and that all led me to making changes in my life that overall made my life better. The first book that I read, I remember, was the book Top 10 Ways to Avoid Taxes. I know that's not a typical book that you're going to read the first time reading, but that's actually one of the first books that I read because I saw my mentor was reading it, and I was like, let me see what this book is about. And when I read that book, obviously I was learning on the ways that you can avoid taxes, but I also learned like new things like real estate. Like I had no idea what real estate was and how you can invest in real estate. Like that was the first book that actually opened my mind up to real estate and what it can do. And that's the point of a book. A book you read and it opens your minds up to new ideas, new philosophies, new ways of bettering your life, new things that you never were aware of. Now last year I read 24 new books. Now out of those 24 books, I want to give you guys the 5 books that I recommend you guys to read. And I'm not gonna lie, this was hard to do because out of those 24 books, it was a couple of more than 5 that I think are good. I literally had to do like a elimination, choice type of thing where I had to like eliminate little by little, one by one, until I got to 5. It will change your mindset, your habits. It will give you a new perspective so you can make changes in your life that overall makes your life better. And by the way, if you guys want to know what books I'm reading at this moment right now, you guys can actually know that by subscribing to my newsletter, which I release every Sunday, every week. If you guys want to go check that one out, go ahead and subscribe. It is 100% free. The Alchemist. This is actually one of my top books, one of my favorite books that I actually read twice last year. And the reason for that is because this book is really a good story about a young guy who goes on an adventure following his heart's desire, trying to make his dreams a reality. This book is about a young boy named Santiago who lives in Andalusia, Spain, and he goes on this adventure and trying to find a lost treasure that he had reoccurring dreams of a lot, and it is in Egypt. And while he goes on that adventure, he ends up meeting interesting people, some people that help him, some people actually, hurt him, and not only that, but give him lessons. And all of this forms him into the person who he ends up becoming by the time he ends up getting to the end destination, by the time he ends up getting to Egypt. This is one of those books where it's more of a story, but as you read the story, it gives you lessons that has to do with you improving your life, with you following your heart's desire. Really, anybody who has never read a book, like you could be someone who never reads, and this book will literally catch your attention really quickly. Like I don't think anybody will ever get bored of reading this book. The first thing that I pulled from this book is how important it is to follow your heart's desire and not let any obstacle get in the way of you and where you want to go. When you start reading the book, as you go on deeper into the book, you start noticing how Santiago, the main character of the story, goes through a lot of trials and tribulations. And the interesting thing about that is that the author basically gives a real life example of that in his own life, because this book right here, The Alchemist, when he released the book back in his native hometown, which is Brazil, he didn't get any popularity from the book. The book sold only once in that first year, and because the book did not do that well, his publisher ended up cutting him off and he ended up having no publisher, and he took his book with him. But he said himself that he did not give up. He kept his vision alive and he made sure that he stayed persistent. He ended up knocking on doors and just telling people about the book, and then the book started to slowly be bought by people. And then after that, 8 months later, an American went to Brazil and he got the book The Alchemist, and he read the book and he told the author that he would help him do the same thing in America, to promote this book in America. If you guys read the book, in the beginning he's going to tell you more about that. But the book ended up becoming very popular around the world internationally. It has been translated in several languages. I'm pretty sure if you release a book and you find out after a year of releasing that only one person bought your book, you probably would have thought that your book was trash and that there was no point of publishing it. But instead, the author stayed persistent and ended up becoming an internationally bestseller, and now everybody knows this book. You have to go into the unknown in order to go on that journey that you want to go on. In this book, Santiago goes into the unknown. He goes traveling on his own to Egypt to try to find that lost treasure, and he doesn't know what's going to happen in the journey that he's in. It's the same way with our journey in life, and whatever goal that we have, we're going to embark on this unknown journey. We do not even know what's going to happen. Like I don't know what's going to happen 2 to 3 years from now. Nobody knows. But we embark on this journey. The book calls it our personal legend. We're trying to make our dreams a reality and see what the answer will be. You can stay in your comfort zone, not go into the unknown. But guess what? You're not going to know the answer to your question of what if I do this? What if I go and start that idea? What if I try this? What if I start this thing that I want to start? You won't know the answer if you just stay where you're at right now and do nothing. Not only that, but also emphasizes how the person who you are in the beginning of your journey is not going to be the same person when you reach the end of your journey. It's like a person who is overweight, and when he ends up getting in shape, these two people are totally different. You went through hard times, you went through good times. all of that shaped you into becoming the person who you're going to be when you reach that end destination. Read it. I read it twice and I'm about to read it again this year. It reminds you to stay persistent, to not let any obstacle get in the way. Even I can tell you personally, there's been obstacles in my life when it comes to the goals that I have, but I have not given up, because I know that those obstacles are put there just to stop you, just so you don't get to where you want to get to. Whatever journey you're gonna go on, there's no way for you to go on that journey and not go through any obstacles. There's just no way. And if you expect that, you're gonna be in for a rude awakening if you truly expect your journey to be easy and flawless and have no challenges at all. Outwitting the Devil. Now, I actually made a different video about this book because I believe this book is really good. It has a lot of gold nuggets in here that can really help you change your life. I think anybody, if they were to read this book, can change their lives. So this book is about Napoleon Hill, and he has an interview with the devil, and the devil ends up telling Napoleon Hill throughout the entire book the ways, the tricks that he uses to control people in the world. He says that he controls the majority of the population, like 98% of the population, by using those tricks that he describes in this book. He also mentions the fears that he uses to control people's lives, like the fear of old age, the fear of ill health, the fear of death, the fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, and the fear of loss of love. These fears he uses to control people's lives and make sure that they never actually live a fulfilling, happy life. The way I view this book is that if you know what the evil forces, what the enemy wants you to do in order to control your life and make sure that you're not living a happy, fulfilled life, then once you become aware of what those things are, all you gotta do is do the opposite of them so that you do not let the evil forces control your life. If you know that the evil forces wants you to watch porn and jack off every single day because it's gonna make you weak and unmotivated and not be driven to accomplish anything in life, it's not gonna make you motivated to find a girlfriend or to get a wife, then what you're gonna do is stop watching porn and you're gonna stop beating off every single day, because you know that the evil forces wants you to do that so that they can control your life, and you're gonna watch yourself live a way better, fulfilling life. Psycho-cybernetics. I've spoken about self-image before in this channel, but after reading this book right here, it actually emphasized it even more of how important it is to improve your self-image. Now, this book was written by a surgeon named Dr. Maxwell Maltz. What fascinated his interest in learning about self-image and improving it was when he would do surgery on people who wanted plastic surgery to improve their image of themselves outside of themselves, right? They wanted to look better. He noticed that these patients were still not satisfied with themselves even after the surgery was done to them, where they were cosmetically improved in some way. And what he ended up discovering is that the reason why these people, after getting the surgery done, were not satisfied with themselves was because even though they changed externally, they never actually did any work to change internally, and so their self-image remained the same even after looking different in the mirror. One of the key points that he makes in the beginning of the book is that we are not machines, but we have a machine that we do operate with, and that is right here in between our two ears. We have a mind that we can control that is so powerful, literally powerful, that nobody can actually even determine how powerful it still is. And he makes the point that we can change our lives if we change our beliefs and our thoughts. He mentions something that actually was really interesting that I had already had an idea of, but he mentions that we are goal-striving human beings. We are not meant to be laying around doing nothing, because the moment we do that, we're not exercising our mind in a good way. This is why people who are not doing anything in their lives, who have nothing productive to do, they find no meaning in their life. This is why these are the same people who also suffer from depression, from lack of meaning, and they end up, sometimes to the extremes, they end up committing suicide. Another cool thing that he actually mentions in this book is the power of self-hypnosis. You have been hypnotized your whole life up until this point. When you were a little kid growing up until this age, you have been hypnotized the entire time by your parents, by the beliefs that they pass down to you, the mindset that they pass down to you, and not only that, but the things that you consume on your TV. Growing up as a kid, you probably watch the news, and all of that is negative, and it all hypnotizes you to believe a certain way. But the good thing is that you can actually self-hypnotize your own self so that you can start adopting new beliefs, new mindsets that can actually help you instead of hinder you. Throughout this book, he gives out actionable steps that you can take to improve your self-image and to improve your mindset, your beliefs, so that you can live a much better, satisfying life. For example, he explains how your self-image is proven with facts. So you cannot wait until you're confident in order to go to the gym. Instead, you go to the gym in order to become confident. You form your identity with the actions that you consistently take on a daily basis. Self-image is really crucial and it's really important, especially if you're someone who's striving to accomplish goals in this life. And the reason why is because if you carry a negative self-image, whether you're conscious about it or not, you're going to do things on a daily basis that constantly prove that that self-image is true. For example, if you have a self-image that you are not worthy, you're going to live your life daily proving that you're not worthy. You're gonna eat junk food because you think that you're not worthy. You're not gonna go to the gym because you think that you're not worthy. You're not gonna be disciplined with the things that you want to do in your life to improve yourself because you're just not gonna think that you're worthy. You may not even be conscious about it, but you might not even be accomplishing your goals right now. Probably you're having a hard time getting to where you want to go to, accomplishing those goals that you have, making progress, because you probably are self-sabotaging your own self because you still carry a negative self-image. And if you carry a negative self-image on a daily basis, you're proving that self-image right with what you do. So it is extremely important to improve and better your self-image, and this book will help you with that. The Art of Focus. This book is from Dan Koe. I'm pretty sure you guys know who Dan Koe is if you guys are into business and philosophy and self-improvement as well. And the first time that I actually found out about Dan Koe was like years ago. I think it was like 2 years ago or so, like a year and a half ago. Back when I had like Twitter still. I don't even have Twitter. Well, now it's known as X, but back then when I had X, and which was known as Twitter back then, obviously, right? Let's not get confused real quick, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The app with the bird. Back when I was on there, I actually used to see his tweets a lot, and he always had a lot of interesting things to say. Like, he always had things to say that really open your mind. He's like a modern day philosopher in today's world. And I ended up finding out that he had a book that was released, and I was like, I'm gonna get it, open my mind up to new ideas and new philosophies. And that's exactly what he did. He talks about a lot of things, but one of the main points that he obviously makes is, says it itself in the book right there, focus. He talks about regaining your focus in life to what truly matters to you and not letting the world distract you from what's important to you. Nowadays, people truly lack focus. They're into that instant gratification. They're letting that distract them from what truly is important in their life. And it's really easy to get into that hamster wheel trap where you're constantly chasing the instant gratification and you feel like it's not escapable. But the only way how you can escape it is if you realize the power that you actually have, the focus, your mind. If you guys actually look at what's truly important in life, it's your time. And the only way that you truly take advantage of your time is by staying focused in that present moment with whatever it is that you're doing. Another key point that Dan makes is questioning everything that you've learned up to this point. Like I said in the last book, we've all been hypnotized since we were born up to this point in our lives by our parents, by our teachers, by TV, social media, everything. We have been instilled these beliefs, these mindsets from what we've constantly heard from people around us and from the people who we look up to on social media growing up. And I actually did this myself back in 2020 when I was, deciding on whether or not I want to go to college. And back then I was always conditioned, go to college, get a job, and then after you get your job, save up money and then get a house and then just have a family and get a car and just live the conventional normal life that I was conditioned to live. And I started questioning that during that time before I had graduated out of high school, and I ended up deciding that college was not for me. That was the first time that I ever had questioned something that was set upon me. I was chasing other people's goals during that time, but I decided that it was time to question what I was chasing and instead start chasing my own goals. And sadly, a lot of people don't question anything in their lives anymore. A lot of people are living the same life that their parents told them to live, that their teachers told them to live. I remember my teachers were telling me to go to college, to do this, to do that, because that's the lives that they were living. But the thing is, I looked at these teachers and like half of them, or probably more than half of them, weren't even happy with themselves. So why would I follow their advice when they're not even happy with their own life? Start forming your own path. Start chasing your own goals instead of chasing the ones that other people are setting up for you. One of the things that I also like about what Dan points out in this book is how you can gamify your own life. You see how in a video game you have a character and you can't go straight to like the final boss in the video game, right? Obviously your character is new, it has no skills, but as you go on upgrading levels and levels, you get stronger, you learn new skills, you become much more valuable. And then once you are valuable and skilled enough, then you could go and conquer that beast, that final boss, because now you're strong enough to do it. And life is pretty much that way. The more you upgrade your life, the more skills you learn, the more you increase your value in this world, the more you're actually able to live a more satisfying life. Obviously, we should be upgrading our character, upgrading our skills, going on new adventures, side quests, to also find more meaning and satisfaction in our life. Think about in a video game, you're not going to play the same level every single time because you're going to get bored of it. You're going to end up wanting to play a new level because that's more interesting, that's more adventurous. You're going to learn new things, you're going to upgrade your character. And a lot of people live their lives similar to just playing at the same level every single time. They do the same thing every single time. They don't upgrade their skills, they don't try new challenging things, they don't actually upgrade their character. And it is why people majority of times live miserable, mediocre lives. He also talks about what he calls the new rich. In the world that we're living in right now, everything is changing, especially AI. Right now, as we all know, like AI is coming out with some crazy stuff. The last time I literally saw, like, I think a celebrity who wasn't even the real celebrity. It was AI, but it literally looked like if it was that celebrity. Like, imagine where we're gonna be 10 years from now with the amount of advancements that we're making in technology and in AI. A lot of jobs that people have nowadays today are not gonna be available to us in like 5 or 10 years because AI and technology technology is going to be so advanced that they're going to be the ones doing those jobs and not humans. And so he ends up talking about, you know, skills that you can learn, like what he calls the evergreen skills, that if you learn, you will be able to excel in the new world that we're living in. And those are skills like writing, speaking, marketing, and sales. And this is where I actually became even more curious, because when he said those skills, I was interested, and I actually ended up realizing that those skills are really important into this world. Literally everything that we do is writing. You write your job proposal when you are trying to interview a job and you're trying to apply. You're writing to prove to them that you are capable to do that job. Literally everything that we do in this world has to do with writing, has to do with speaking, being a good communicator, and it has to do with marketing and sales as well. I highly recommend you guys to read this book, The Art of Focus. Meditations. I read this book leading up to 2023, about to end going into 2024, and this book actually helped me a lot with coming out of that little mini slump that I was going through towards the end of 2023. This is a journal by Marcus Aurelius, and it wasn't even meant to be like a book that's released. It was just a journal that he wrote to himself, things that he was learning along his journey in life. But the thing is that these things that he wrote in this book are so full of wisdom, so full of gems that can literally help any person out there struggling with a certain problem in their life. Like in my case, when I was struggling with that problem towards the end of 2023 that had me like in a little slump during that time. This book helped me make a lot of realizations in my life that helped me overcome that slump that I was going through. This book, by the way, is based on Stoicism. He makes a lot of points in this book that are really insightful and really get your mind thinking. Especially one of the points that he makes is that whatever you think is true is true. I remember growing up as a kid, my dad would always tell me the same thing. He would always tell me how the mind is truly powerful, and my dad showed me many times in my life growing up to this day how powerful the mind is and how he is able to control his own mind. Because, you know, my dad has been through a lot himself in his life, and he has shown me how the mental strength, if you take care of this, if you strengthen this, you will be able to come out on top in life and whatever you go through. And Marcus Aurelius really points that out in his book, how powerful the mind is, and how whatever it is that you believe, it is true because you believe it. Not because the world says it's true, but because you say it's true. Because the mind will believe anything you say to it. And so Marcus Aurelius says that if we can control our mind, if we can get control of this, which is the most powerful thing that we have in this life, that we can basically control our life and do whatever we want in this world. Another major point, and this one is really big because Marcus really points this out several times in the book, and that is you're gonna die at one point, and everybody reaches that stage in life. And so since you know that you're not gonna live forever, since you're constantly reminded in this book, by the way, that you are not immortal, that you're gonna die at one point, it makes you really do a lot of reflection in your own life, especially when it comes to doing things that you have been afraid of doing, probably because you're afraid of failing, or probably because you're afraid of what the outcome will be, or you're afraid of what people might think of you doing this thing. You're afraid of criticism from people outside of yourself. And because of all those things, you probably don't do things in your life that you know will cause you to live a more satisfying life. Marcus Aurelius, like if he was in person, he'd probably slap the crap out of you and really make you wake up and realize that you're not gonna live forever. Many times we live our life acting like we're gonna live forever, acting like we're gonna be here for like 200, 300 years, when in reality we don't even know how long we're gonna be here. So we might as well make this time that we're living right now the best that we can. One thing for sure, we all know is gonna happen, and that is that you're gonna die one day. So you might as well go and do that thing that you've been wanting to do and not let anything stop you. Like recently, right now, I actually made a really big move when it comes to getting closer to my goals. And at first, before I made that move, I actually kind of like felt a bit of fear enter my mind. Like, what if it doesn't work or things like that? A little bit of self-doubt came into play. But then I reminded myself like about this book. I reminded myself of the things that Marcus Aurelius says. You're not going to live forever. One day you're going to end up where everyone does, which is underground. So you might as well do what it is that you want to do. It gives out a lot of stoic principles that can really help you in your life at this moment. I truly believe that if I were to have not started reading books back in 2021, then I probably would not be the person who I am today, and I would not be making the progress that I'm making in my life, in my goals. I wouldn't even be setting goals, because before reading books, I didn't even have goals. I learned goal setting through books. The truth is, you need to self-educate. School doesn't teach you the things that you need to learn in order to succeed in life outside of school. It only teaches you basic things, and a lot of things that it teaches you outside of the basic things is things that you don't even need. Like a lot of the years that I spent in high school were useless now looking back at it, because I don't even use the majority of the things that I learned. And so it is your job now outside of school to self-educate. The worst thing that you can do is to not educate yourself after school is done. Learn more new things that can help you expand your mind and learn new things, especially getting into the minds of the greatest people in the world, like through books. These are people who have insights, have interesting knowledge that they want to give out to people, and you can literally get this knowledge by paying like $20 or $15 to $10. Sometimes you can even get it for free,
And now you have all this knowledge that you can use into your life to make better decisions in your life, to live a more satisfying life. And these 5 books that I have right here that I just talked about in this entire video are one of the top 5 books that I recommend you guys to read this year. And if you guys read these books this year, I truly believe that your mindset, your habits, your perspective in life will be a lot more different and will be a lot more better, that will help you live a much more better life and help you improve the quality of your life. But anyways, that's all I gotta say. I'm out.